Good to have you along. Here it is, 3 and Out. Kevin and Ben on this Tuesday. Glad you're making us a part of your day. Got a lot to get to here on the show. SEC Media Day is coming up next week. We know the invite. I say the invite list. We know the list of who is coming to SEC Media Days and who is not coming to SEC Media Days. And there is, there's a strategy to all of it, depending on who you talk to. So we've got that to get to here on the show. We've got the Open Championship coming up. Could this be Tiger Woods' last major championship? Saying a lot of crazy things. I say crazy things. But you see Tiger get quoted saying, look, it started in, back in 2005. If it ends in 22, I'm okay with that. Okay, that sounds like a guy that might be going, that sunset's getting pretty close.
That sounds like a guy to be
counting my billions.
Going, that private jet smell like Ben Gay in the back. and listen, and Kevin, and that's fine, right? Like this is the thing. I mean, Kevin, at the end of the day, I mean, one day, Kevin, one day, even Kevin Thomas is going to say, all right, this is going to be my last show, right?
Right.
But this is the thing, Kevin, you didn't start in media and say, hey, man, I'm going to do this thing for. No, you gained a like for you. So look, man, I don't think you plan to do it. The years just go by. Like, when people say, yeah, man, you've been doing this for 50 years, man, what you gonna do What you gonna do next? I don't know. Sleep. Like, I mean, most people don't get to have long careers. But when it comes to Tiger Woods, right? Most of us who don't play golf, who aren't lovers of the game, watch because of Tiger, right? I wasn't a NASCAR fan, but I would watch Dale Earnhardt. Certain guys just make you watch because of who they are. Sometimes they transcend the sport. But it ain't like Tiger Woods gonna be on, pro athletes that go broke. He gonna be straight. Like, he gonna be good. I just think that now, Kevin, it's almost like saying, look, okay. He's saying, I'm gonna just say, if this is the last year, let me go ahead and put it out there. Because
I mean, look, I think Tiger Woods is in an era of athlete that is different. He's post 40, but in years past, you'd say, hey, he's been a great guy, a great competitor. He's going to go play on the Champions Tour when he's just done, have a little fun doing that, and it is what it is. Now I think Tiger's in that category of guys that we see, Ben, of new age athletes where you've made a boatload of money. You were one of three athletes that are worth $1 billion. Yeah,
he took it to the.
You don't need to play for the money. And same way, like you see guys in the NFL. It's like, hey, I've made my $10, $15, $20 million. I'm 27 years old. I'm done.
Yeah.
And we see guys who have done that a lot in sports where they're hanging it up sooner. Why? Because they can. Yes. Because they've met Rob Gronkowski.
Yes.
Yes, he had his injuries, but
like when people go, he gonna come back. And once again, when people say he's gonna come back, we as the onlooker should understand why, right? Like, it's not that he's doing it because of us, but when people say, hey, man, Aaron Rodgers, man, he don't want to be a Green Bay Packer no more. Oh, you see that money they're giving him? Oh, yes, he does. Because at the end of the day, Hugh Douglas, the philosopher, they're going to study by him. Money and memories. And Kevin, at the end of the day, if you are walking away with millions to the point where if you make an appearance in the bank, which they're going to be like, the branch manager coming. Is there a problem, Mr. Thomas? You going to take your money out? No. I just want to go take some money out.
Yeah.
How much though? Because
before you come say hello to it.
The Brinks truck, it ain't got here yet. No, shout out to Tiger Woods if you do decide to. And is Tiger Woods on the Mount Rushmore of athletes? I would say so. When you start talking about the pantheon of the greatest ones, when it comes to golf, and that doesn't mean that other great players like Kevin. Remember we were talking about the guy that made it to the finals against Jokic. What happened? He lost to Jokic. It doesn't mean
Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he wasn't good. Really, but Jokic is like, hey man, when it comes to Wimbledon, I'm that dude. I won 7 of them. So I just think that certain players, which we're gonna get to Tiger later.
Yeah.
I will say this. Listen, I met Donovan McNabb one time, $100 million contract, Donovan McNabb, and I told him, you make too much money to be a jerk. I told him this. Now, mind you, I don't know why I told him that. and I'm not saying Tiger Woods is a jerk by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that, Kevin, certain people, you start saying, look, man, now you're really doing it for fun because you've done it all. Guys wasn't wearing no red polos and black slacks until Tiger, unless they went to Georgia or, you know what I'm saying? Or it's you know what I'm saying? So you've done it all. Now Tiger's saying, all right, bro, like, You know, I'm out here trying to get it. I'm out here now. I'm just showing off. Because when he won that Masters, he should have dropped the mic there. Boop. All right, I did it. But hey, man, shout out to Tiger Woods. If we do decide to hang it up, it's gonna be different not having him out there.
And again, I don't know. And again, he hasn't said anything. I think you're hearing comments of a guy who is getting closer to the fact that, look, I don't want to do this. I'm not saying he doesn't want to play golf. I think the competitive juices are there. You hear a lot of guys who are ultra competitive. Brett Favre retired, and they said, "You think you can still play?" He goes, "Oh, I know I can play. I just don't want to."
Come on.
And he goes, "What do you mean?" He's like, "If all I had to do was show up on Sunday, I'd be good." And I'm sure in the back of his mind, if Tiger Woods is like, "All I got to do is come out here Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and play in the majors," that's good. That's good. But I want to compete at a high level. I want to do it.
Yeah.
And Brett Favre's like, "Look, I don't want to do the practice stuff.
Yeah.
I want to compete, but I don't want to do all the other stuff anymore that you have to do to stay in the game." And I think Tiger Woods maybe wants to do some of that stuff, but also his body is at a point where you're like, the more I do, the more I have to recover. Because of the injuries and the car accident he had. So it's like, I think you look at him from that situation and you go, this is a guy that I think is coming to terms with, look, I want to play at a high level. I just can't do it the way I once used to. And if I'm just am I going to bust my hump all day, every day to go try to compete for four events a year? I don't know if I want to do that.
And how much golf has Tiger Woods played from the practice round?
Oh, sure.
And it's like getting older for everybody. I don't care how good of a shape you're in. People go, "Oh man, that person right there is really, really good shape." Yeah. Are they 50? Yeah. Well, their bones are 50.
Well, I mean,
so, I think that too, Kevin, too, when you start talking about, if you play the same sport, Kevin, you were telling me about baseball yesterday and how you play a lot of baseball before you get caught up to the bigs. And then you play even more. You play a lot of baseball. But a lot of times, hopefully, when you get called up, there's 20-something next to your name. But the closer you start getting to 30 and 31 and 35 and 40, what starts happening is the wear and tear. Because, hey, man, you build up muscle because you wanted to break down at a lesser rate than everybody else. But when it's broken down, when that elbow get to and I didn't even realize how bad your knees take a toll when you talk about golf with all the walking and the twisting. And now, hey, man, he's pushed his body to the limit. It's giving him, Tiger Woods' body has been about as good as you can to an athlete as you can get. That's $1 billion body right there. Because that's what it blessed him to be able to do. I mean, it's just at a certain point, you got to move on. I mean, I know Tom Brady got the freaking Benjamin Button elixir, whatever he does. But I just think that certain guys just transcend the sport.
Yeah, look, and I think, Tiger Woods, not that he can't play, but you talk about playing and I guarantee you if Tom Brady, Ben, wasn't the leading, I mean, that's what's insane about Tom Brady. People keep wanting to tell him to quit. I mean, he was statistically the best quarterback in the league last year, right? And I think that if you look at Tiger Woods, he's like, look, I'm used to being the best. I want to go out there and compete at the Open Championship. I don't want to make the cut and then finish, last or next to last. Yeah. I did make the cut. Whoop-de-doo. I was like, he wants to go out there and play at a high level. And you've heard those comments from him where he's like, hey, I want to, as long as I can still play at a high level. I think he knows those days are numbered. Not that he can't play golf very good, but playing it at a high competitive level, probably not going to happen. As you said, he's now in his upper 40s. There's dudes out there that are 22, 23 who got that extra spring in their step. And it's a hard thing. So we'll talk to Rich Styles about that coming up later in the show. Ben, I'm glad we talked Tiger Woods because that allowed me for the first 10 minutes of the show not to have to talk about the Braves losing last night. But no, look, I know people are like, hey, the Braves, this, that. I mean, this is going to be fun. I think this is what you want it to be, right? You want the back and forth that you see in games like this. And I'll say it straight up. You got Scherzer last night.
Yeah.
And you weren't the first that it happened to.
No.
And you will not be the last that happens to. Dude was amazing. 9 strikeouts and 7 innings, 3 hits. You were doing all you could do. You got to that Mets bullpen, which is where you tried to make some hay. Had something happen in the 8th inning. Couldn't get it across. Otherwise, it might be a different story. But played competitive. I think tonight you put Spencer Strider out there, a chance to go right back at it and take a win. And Ben, it's playoff baseball feeling in July. I think that's all.
It was incredible.
That's all you can ask for. And again, you think the Mets don't want this? I was talking with Chris earlier today. I was like, you think the people are like, oh, the Braves are hot. I mean, the Mets want to beat the Braves bad.
Yes.
Because again, they know they blew a 10.5 game lead, and so now's your chance head to head. to put some more distance in between it. Last night, Edwin Diaz gets, I don't know if you saw this, it turned into a meme a little bit today. Edwin Diaz, the Mets closer, shuts it down, looks at the Braves dugout after the game and gives them the, just stop your talking. And so that kind of stuff, I think, is going to fuel into,
I like that, though.
What is good rivalry.
Do you like that?
Look, I think I come from the school of I don't mind if you do some of that if you can handle it coming back the other way.
Yeah.
I.e., because I see this more, I guess, in the youth level, like high school and younger, where it's like, oh, I'll trash talk you all day. Then when you kick my you know what, I'm going to get mad when you say it back. And I'm like, now, wait a minute. The old don't dish it if you can't take it.
Come on.
Kind of thing. So I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know if you should, if you get offended with it coming back the other way, I don't have a problem. If you want to have some friendly banter back and forth, but when they shut you down and it comes back the other way, it's the same thing where if you're a batter who's going to bat flip on a pitcher, and if you get mad because he stunts on you, striking you out, check yourself a little bit, right? If you don't like that, don't bat flip on a guy. He controls his destiny in the palm of his hand, literally, if he wants to come a little bit too far inside. So, yeah, I like it for the rivalry standpoint. I think this is a good rivalry. I think this has been one that's kind of been.
I hope it stays around, too,
I think this is one that's been bubbling for a while because of, the back and forth the fans have, the two teams like to get after it. So, look, tonight it's going to be fun. It's going to be part 2. And, look, Braves need a win. I think pull it right back to a game and a half.
Yeah.
Set up Wednesday afternoon as a chance to half a game.
What Robinson Cano is a freaking Brave. And I will say this. There aren't enough rivalries anymore in sports because everybody, works out with each other in the offseason. Everybody's so buddy. Look, we need rivalries because we're going to play each other regardless. It doesn't mean that I have a genuine dislike for you, but developing a genuine dislike through the sports realm of things, I think is great. I think it makes you play better. I like the fact that I'm silencing the bullpen or the dugout for the Braves. And once again, vote getters, just because you don't know who Austin Riley is doesn't mean he's not an all-star. Every day, it's just going yard every day. But I do like the healthy banter back and forth. Because Kevin, one thing we never know is we don't know how much trash the Braves talk. Like, we really don't know. Like, when they running those bases or somebody's on base, we don't know what they're really saying. So if the Braves are talking trash, well, it's warranted. And listen, if the Braves telling the Mets, you know what, don't mean to think if you don't get that ring. They ain't lying. But
last night was replica ring night at the ballpark.
I'm just so so at the end of the day, at the end of the day, the Braves are like, listen, man, we told the Nats, man, we gonna get one of those. When y'all get one of these, you know what I'm saying? Come holler at us, hey, man. But touche, y'all beat us last night. Hopefully they'll get back to their winning ways.
Yeah, we got that coming up 6:05 with the pregame coverage here a little bit later this evening. SEC Media Days coming up next week. We know who's going to the ATL. We'll get that to you next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. SEC Media Days next week in Atlanta. Ben Troop, we know who's coming now to SEC Media Days. Georgia's got Stetson Bennett, Nolan Smith, Cedric Van Pran, offensive lineman there, coming to Atlanta. Of course, Kirby Smart will be there. Stetson going to get obviously a lot of questions about last year and what he was able to do there at the University of Georgia. He's one of 7 quarterbacks, so half the league sending their quarterbacks there to Atlanta. No Spencer Rattler. And people say, why wouldn't you send these guys? Again, if you haven't been, I will say, depending on who you are, Spencer Rattler been, as you said yesterday on the show, this guy was supposed to be a Heisman Trophy finalist last year. Got beat out and transferred to South Carolina. No longer at Oklahoma. You take him to SEC Media Days, you're going to get a lot of questions. When I say a lot of questions, you start in a room with 600 people. And you got to sit there for 10, 15 minutes. Then you go to the breakout tables, which are on the side. And you get about 50 people surrounding the table, all throwing questions your way. Then you go to internet media. Then you go. So you get a bunch, and it could be a lot. Ben, I know you said during your time at SEC Media Days. No, but you've seen it from a student-athlete perspective.
Yeah.
We've talked to guys who have gone in Hoover and others, and we usually on Radio Row, they do, if you're not familiar, they do rotation. So there'll be 4 teams a day, except the first day, in which case the commissioner also takes a turn. But you get 2 in the morning and 2 teams in the afternoon. So on Radio Row, we get guys who have already been up through all the rooms, and they're kind of trying to get there. And it's been, a 4 or 5 hour trip through all this. And you get some guys at the end of the day, they're like, man, I didn't expect all this. Kind of like it can be overwhelming for guys who have not been in that media circus. So I could see why Spencer Rattler wouldn't go. But obviously there are guys that have to go. Bryce Young's going to be there, Stetson. But I can see if you have it, it's why Ole Miss isn't bringing a quarterback. LSU's not bringing a quarterback. They're not settled. I get it. It's a lot. And that's why you see certain programs go, why wouldn't Spencer Strider, who's a big name?
Yeah.
That's why you don't take him.
Mm-hmm. The thing about it is, too, though, Kevin, I think sometimes, too, you take a guy like Spencer Rattler, right? They're protecting him because sometimes they're gonna take you through the ringer when you up there. Like as much, I don't know how much media training they take them through before they get there. But Kevin, as you mentioned, I'm in a room with 600 people, and all those people aren't gonna get their questions asked or questions answered. I mean this. There was some rumors last year with they won JT Daniels, who was up there representing Georgia, that he didn't handle some of the questions well. Because this is the thing, right? When I being a former player, I used to think there really was a thing as a hard question. There really isn't. We are the in between or the medium of the voice to get out to the fans. Spencer Rattler, what? You didn't make it in Oklahoma. The guy who took your spot is at USC now. The coach who recruited you is at USC now. You're at USC, Columbia, Gamecocks. We're going to ask you certain questions. If you are at SEC Media Days, if you want to know how it's going to be for the players, look at the questions they answer the coaches. I will say this, though. There are certain coaches, like a Nick Saban, who people don't always genuinely ask him what they really want to know. Like, when you say things like, Coach, you say, I didn't say they bought the players. Well, you say they paid for them. Yeah, but that's not bought. Well, if you get a meal, did you pay for the meal? Did you buy the meal? So I do think, Kevin, when you start thinking about what SEC Media Days is.
If you're Nick Saban in Alabama, the answer is probably no, you didn't.
Yeah, he probably didn't. Yeah, I mean, somebody probably got in trouble for taking this money. But sometimes it's that for a Brian Kelly, it's going to be, all right, this is the, like, we get it. When you was at ACC Media Days, you were the guy. Now, you're one of the guys. You're not the guy. But, I mean, are you going to be able to win it? Are you going to be able to do some of the LSU that you weren't able to do in Notre Dame? What, win a natty? Wait a minute. Are you Brian Kelly from Massachusetts? Oh, you Brian Kelly from the Bayou. I just didn't know who I'm. But I
depends on what part of my family.
And sometimes too, Kevin, you know, Coach Harsin, dude, what the hell is going on in Auburn? What do you mean? What? Like, you know, we got beat writers. We you know, we got social media. Like your two offensive, your both coordinators gone, quarterback gone, coacher. Do you even have one? So yes, you know, the ones that's bringing the quarterbacks, Kevin Iverson, is easy to do because you have an established quarterback. Coach Hypo and Hendon Hooker, Stetson Bennett, defending national champion, Bryce Young, you know, AR-15, and so on and so forth. You know, with you know, Anthony Richardson. What makes SEC Media Days incredible is everybody gets a spotlight. I mean, the Vanderbilt coach say, "Quote, we don't make excuses here at Vanderbilt," and the whole room was like, "What the hell? What does he mean by that? We don't make excuses." Coach, yeah, I don't know what you think is about to happen at Vanderbilt. Yeah. But the greatest Vanderbilt coach in Vanderbilt history, yeah, he coaches at Penn State. Like, that's the greatest job I've ever seen. Jay Cutler, yeah, stuck it up team-wise, and he was the first round pick. But I think it's gonna be great, Kevin, because the headliner is Greg Sankey. Like your commissioner is not just here to, you're not really trying to get the commissioner out of the way so you can get to no. Mrs. Sankey. So you're staying at 16? They're gonna be trying to get things confirmed. So you're staying at 16 to what you're saying. Well, you know, no. Don't get me quote commissioner speak. Are you staying at 16? Yeah. Are you staying with the NCAA? Yeah. What's going on with NIL? Like, you know, it's a lot of, but Kevin, you know, the world will be watching what goes on in the ATL, shout to Yale, when it comes to these coaches, players, because Texas A&M, LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Coach Mike Leach, what is he going to do to throw the whole room off? Because in a sense, Mississippi State ain't competing for the same things. Alabama, LSU, Auburn, you know, Texas A&M, they compete for something different. If you are a bottom feeder, quote, in your side of the conference, can you not be the worst team? Can Mississippi State have a better record than Arkansas? Because Arkansas has been balling as of late, but it's Arkansas. And it's like, they're not irrelevant in the grand scheme of things when you talk about the SEC West. Just no one gives a lot of credence to what they do because they're not going to Atlanta. So, and they beat LSU. Cool. A lot of people beat LSU since 2019. A lot of teams. So it's gonna be storylines galore. The quarterbacks are easily the headliners, the head coaches. You know, they Texas A&M and Alabama ain't there on the same day. Coincidence? Absolutely not. Because we want to give them both their day. You know. So, but it's SEC Media Days is crazy. It's wild because my first SEC Media Day as a media member, you know, I'm new to this thing. Nick Saban walking down the hallway, just won the national championship,
right?
And he, you know, he's not the tallest guy you ever met in your life, right? So I couldn't see him, but I saw all these cameras walking, and I yell out, "Man, what's going on?" And everybody stopped and looked back. I'm like, "Oh my, what? I ain't know everybody." Are we not? Because everybody was talking, and he walked, "Be quiet, don't say nothing." And I'm like, "Listen, Nick Saban know he that dude. Like, he knows." So we'll see, Kevin. It is, you know, it's gonna be epic for everybody involved. I just think that there are other drafts, and there's the NFL draft. You got NHL,
sure,
you got NBA, but it ain't the NFL. You got other media days, and then there's the SEC, to where, you know, the coaches got to wear whatever their team color is. That's the color of their tie. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this. There's a lot of Coach David Dorn up there at NC State. Oh, there's a lot of coaches that think like that. There's a lot of them like, yeah. Let's just get through it. No, here you go. What is it? Like they do the things they're mandatory. They can't walk away from. But yeah, Kevin, it should be an epic time, man. I mean, you added two more teams.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a talking point. But I think also you now have for the first time, I don't know if they did media days back in 1981. It certainly wasn't as big as it is now. You got Georgia coming in as the defending champs. Stetson Bennett returning, as the starting quarterback. It's been a while. I mean, I know the SEC wins a lot of these, but normally you win the championship and I'm out.
Yep.
First time you had I believe, I'm trying to think who's the last one
to return.
Tua, maybe?
McElroy, I think.
Tua won as a freshman.
Yeah, Tua won as a freshman.
And Tua, I guess.
And didn't win. And think about this. Tua won it as a freshman and then didn't win another one, obviously, because it's almost like, hey, man, and that's what people don't tell you about Alabama. Yeah, you only get, like, if you're a starting quarterback outside of, Not McElroy, AJ McCarron. I think he won too. You only get one. What do you mean? Well, Bryce Young, like usually you're on a team that wins one without you, and then you get to win one with you. That's usually how you do. And now, Kevin,
I mean, so you got Stetson coming back as a defending national championship quarterback. I think he's going to be an intriguing interview.
Yes.
To see what questions get thrown his way, because a lot of people were surprised that he came back. Again, not to speak for the young man, but a lot of people were like, dude, why wouldn't you just drop the mic and ride out on top? It doesn't get any better than that. But he's coming back. So I think he's going to get a lot of questions. Obviously, can you do it again? Can you take Georgia right back to where you were a season ago? I think he is fascinating to see. I guess I don't know what chapter we're on here. About chapter 4 or 5 of the Stetson Bennett story. But look, I think it's going to be fascinating to see how he navigates being the championship quarterback. Because since Buck Blue, everybody's been chasing, right? So now it's Buck and Stetson.
Ain't that crazy?
That's the two starting quarterbacks that got a ring. Can you do it again? What's the encore here in the final season for Stetson?
Well, he's definitely earned it. Stetson Bennett is, and I know people don't. Stetson Bennett is more the barometer of what college football is than what we think. We think it's going to be. We think it's going to be the big 5-star quarterback that's highly recruited, highly touted. But I said this. I don't like being right when it comes to them boys from Athens. But I said, if the University of Georgia is going to win the national championship, it's going to be with a quarterback that grew up wanting to be a Georgia Bulldog. It's because it means something different to them. If JT Daniels wins the national championship, it's great. But he got off the plane in Athens and said, "Welcome to Atlanta." Like he doesn't, So Stetson Bennett, once again, Kevin, outside of the encore, what else can he do? And you're right. And obviously we're speaking from the seats that we sit in when we say, man, there's a certain time the mic drop. All we heard was Stetson Bennett. Oh man, who's going to play him in the movie in the 30 for 30? And then, but we was there 2018 when Georgia loses in the national championship to Alabama. Georgia sitting there with their big, when they big SEC rings. Alabama comes in. This time, Georgia gonna come through with their national championship ring. Alabama gonna come in with their SEC championship rings. If you are Texas A&M, hey man, can you even get to Atlanta? Because the thing about is certain people started certain stuff. Nick Saban started the dynasty. Kirby Smart took it to another level when Mark Richt left. Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher started the guaranteed contracts for coaches coming from Florida State. Brian Kelly's leaving the biggest brand in college football because I want to go to the Bayou. Billy Napier is getting so that them coaches that's playing, that coaches that's in the Sun Belt can go from $2 million to 7.1. Whoa! Give him his cheese, people. I just think that it's so much that goes. Why wouldn't you like the SEC when you look at what it can provide you? Upgraded money? Oh, yeah, you're going to get your money. But can you deliver the goods? Because everybody wants that legacy. Kirby Smart has done it. Kirby Smart is going to be heated. You know why? Because he can't wear his visor. He got to wear a suit now. Kirby Smart, when the last time you seen him without a visor on? Exactly. He is a coach 24 hours a day, but it should be epic up there in ATL.
Yeah, we got more to come. Obviously, more news out of the SEC. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out. All across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. SEC Media Days coming up next week. Ben, as you mentioned, 2 teams coming in a couple of years. That broke last year at SEC Media Days. And then the story coming out, Matt Hayes of Saturday Down South, confirmed by Dennis Dodd earlier today, SEC saying they're content to stay at 16 teams. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of questioning of Greg Sankey there, Ben. Are you just saying that because that's what you have to say at this point? Like, I don't think, as we said, the SEC was content to stay at 12 until they went and got 14. They were content to stay at 14 until they went and got 16. How long are they content, do you think, Ben, to stay at 16? And again, I know we talk about who are the brands out there. There are some schools out there that can still accentuate the brand and bring money into the coffers, so to speak. How long do you think Greg say he's going to be asked about it? How long do you think he is content to stay at 16?
I think he's content right now, Kevin, because what happens is, right, the Big Ten shows you that it's not too many brands. While there are big brands, can you help the collective? I know you're a big brand individually. Can you help the collective? There aren't many brands out there right now that people are gonna, because we gotta, when Texas and Oklahoma gets added to the SEC, everybody went, whoa, because we understand that makes sense. That is 2 of the biggest brands. That's 2 top 5 brands in America when you talk about college football. Now, Notre Dame, absolutely, but that's 1. You don't want to have an uneven number. So right now they're saying, all right, we have 16. And Kevin, the reason why I know he's going to stay there is he said, all right, top to bottom. Show me a conference top to bottom. Matter of fact, show me your bottom 5. Not meaning what my bottom 5 may lack, but what my bottom 5 may lack, wins, losses wise, brand equity, brand recognition. Oh, we're there. Because Kevin, we was talking about this. Somebody go, all right, we got a big one this weekend, man. Well, we got the Fighting Illini, versus
Rutgers.
Northwestern. Man, and you're gonna be saying to yourself, is this basketball? No, and because what happens is, people say, okay, well, what about Vanderbilt? What about Missouri? What about a Mississippi State? Well, they still have brand equity. They still are gonna be big name, because Mississippi State, do something crazy like beat Texas A&M. Or, so I do think that the 16 is good, because what you get from Texas and Oklahoma, you good. Like you're good without them. That's what I'm saying. We're good without them. Oklahoma and Texas need the SEC more than the SEC needs them. They're saying, man, come on over here. Because we got Alabama and Georgia. They're going to be headliners. Then LSU is a headliner. Texas A&M is a headliner, right? Florida and Tennessee can be headliners. That's why we started talking about Kentucky and South Carolina and Missouri and Vanderbilt. That's why we started talking about Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas. It's like top to bottom, Kevin. You can't beat it, because the one thing about the SEC that we always talk about the ACC, the teams you need to be good, they're good. The teams you need to be good, they're good. They don't have a big drop off. Georgia went from losing 3 or 4 games. They barely lose games in the regular season now. Alabama, when they lose, who the hell beat them? Because it's such a rarity. You saw LSU was an outlier in 2019. Texas A&M making declarations in 2021. It's not really happening in 2022. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the 16 is good, Kevin, because top to bottom, I think you got some really, really good matchups. You talk about games. This comes down to, what do you want to see? Take the best games of the year. If you got to pick between, if Auburn, Alabama was on the same day as Michigan, Ohio State, right? You got to think about it, because now one of the big games got added to you. We get the Red River rivalry. Now it's part of the SEC. So I do think that Greg Sankey was weighing it all out, saying, hey, man, with these 16 teams, it makes sense. We add more teams. We got to clarify, why we do this? Because now we got to reach. Are we reaching for location? Kevin, one thing about it is this. Now, North Carolina, you've won me over. I think if you can add North Carolina with the Notre Dame, yeah, you go to 18 in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I get the whole state of North Carolina and I get Notre Dame. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't know if there are too many more packages. Florida State and Miami ain't as sexy as North Carolina, Notre Dame. Matter of fact, and I'll say this, Florida State and Miami ain't as sexy as Virginia Tech. I would go Virginia Tech before I would go Miami, Florida State, because I'm getting the whole state. I already got Florida in the state of Florida. So, but you stay 16 though. Greg Sankey is saying, look, right now I look like I can do no wrong. I did the COVID year better than anybody, right? Did that better than anybody.
Yep.
Then when you start talking about just unity from a conference level, we got that, Kevin Warren. Y'all don't got that Pac-12 and the Pac-12 and ACC. Oh, good Lord. I mean, we'll talk about that later. I mean, he got that. Then we start talking about the biggest brands. Got that. I'm finna add 2 more. Yes, 16 is it because Kevin, outside of Notre Dame and North Carolina, which they do that, boom, got it.
Well, yeah, and again, there was a quote in the original piece there by Matt Hayes who said, "Look, they said, well, what about Notre Dame?" And this is where you get into and I'll say arrogance, but I don't mean arrogance in a bad way. This is where you get into the arrogance of the SEC. I say arrogance from a standpoint of they know what they are, and they said, "So what if the Big Ten gets Notre Dame?" And they're like, "Would you want Notre Dame in the SEC?" And they're like, "We don't have to. We're not scared of what Notre Dame does. If Notre Dame's not in our conference, are we worse? No. If Notre Dame's in our conference, are we remarkably better? Not necessarily." They're like, if Notre Dame goes to the Big Ten, so what? That was kind of the quote. It's like, look, you can speculate about what Notre Dame wants to do. We're the SEC. We're not worried about what Notre Dame does. And that's a very good place to be in when you can do whatever you want. And again, the SEC, as I've said in recruiting, Ben, the SEC, when it comes to conference expansion, they ask, right? They're the ones that get the phone calls. You think Greg Sankey called up Oklahoma and Texas and said, "Hey, guys, we got a huge pie over here. We're thinking about splitting it 16 ways. Would y'all be in it?" No, he didn't do that. They called him. And he said, "You know what? I think we can make this work." So, I mean, when it comes to conference expansion, the SEC could call, and Greg Sankey knows this. I could pick up the phone. I could call any athletic director in the country, and if the next words out of my mouth are, "Do you want to be in the SEC?" Yep. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, right? He knows he can make that phone call. So you don't have to take anybody. You're in an ultimate position of strength, and I believe they want to stay at 16 for now. For now. And I think that's a truthful statement when you hear people say that. Now, we're good at 16 for now. I think if you see this thing moving down the road the way some have predicted, where you expand the college football playoff, potentially even have a situation where it gets to a point where you look at the Big Ten, you look at yourself and say, I mean, could we do this thing from a football standpoint without the NCAA? And if we do this, how many more teams do we need to financially make that work? Then I think you start looking at a couple more teams to make it work. But I think when they say that, I don't think that you're getting somebody who's lying, say, "Hey, we're content." I think they're just content for now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's
Kev, you know it ain't in stone now. Like I said, it's the thing about the SEC is they are the one brand. I mean, they're the one company. They're very strategic, but when they do it, we go, "Oh, okay, I can see." So, I can see why they did it. I can see why they did that. The Big Ten is lucky that they get a USC and UCLA. It ain't. Let's call it what it is. USC, and the package deal with UCLA, that's a nice pickup. That really is. But but when you start saying Texas, Oklahoma, hey, ask the Big Ten what they rather have. Would y'all want to switch them? Hell yeah. So don't act as if who got the better end of the deal. But yeah, but Kevin, nothing. Like I said, when I played early 2000s, 12 teams. Then they go to 14.
And you probably couldn't envision a day that you would want to add 2 more teams.
And the thing is, too, like I said, the money that's available. Go look at the top 25 brands in college football. The top 2 are Texas A&M. The top 2. Top 5 is Oklahoma and Texas.
And Texas A&M, yeah.
And Texas A&M. Top 10 is Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, Auburn. Starting to see this trend, and then you start getting into. So all I'm saying is Greg Sankey said, "Look, before I do anything, do you know us when you see us?" Yep, that says it all. Meaning, like I said, Kevin, there's this vehicle that I want. Call it F-650, big old truck. I've driven one before, And Kevin, it's one of those things where you say, I ain't, you know how you don't know what it is yet? Because you've never seen one. But if you've ever seen one, you go, oh my God, yeah, I saw, you remember what it was, what color it was, where you were, because it's ridiculous when you see it. That is the SEC. You got to see it one time to know what it is, and that's branding, people. Branding is recognizing things when you see them, you know. So Greg Sankey know he the man right now. He knows when it's a quote commissioners meeting, he's gonna be at the head table. Ladies and gentlemen, commissioners of the SEC, they got the clap. They like, hey, Kevin Warner, yeah. Why? I mean, what y'all mad at us for? And check this out. And he can say this. The last time a team not in the SEC won the national championship, it was Ohio State. Where did he come from? The SEC. Where he went to Ohio State. I ain't gonna talk about what he's done since then. Crazy stuff now. But man, shout out to Greg Sankey and the SEC for making.
He
sure
tried to coach NFL
right.
football.
Oh, he don't got to worry about that.
It
He
didn't
can't
go
hang
well
around the stadium. Security say, no, go, get out from around him.
It
Man,
did not go well.
I left him in my office. You ain't got an office over here no more. Get on out of here.
Just keep on going.
Everybody outside again.
I got credentials. I don't care.
How the mighty have fallen.
That's true. We got more to come. It is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Braves tonight against the Mets. They'll try to do better tonight. Ben, don't have Max Scherzer. Thankfully, you got David Peterson. Not hating on David Peterson, but that is a noticeable step down from Max Scherzer.
It definitely makes things. Because Kevin, I gotta ask this too. When it comes to a guy like Scherzer, when you demand that type of respect, like from the team you play for to the team you playing against, you going, "Hey man, look, Scherzer is that dude." Like I'm like no, and the thing,
You
like
can't even be mad about
yeah,
it.
you can't like a couple of years ago, DeGrom. Yeah, if you could get a hit off of him, people go, "What just happened?" It's like pitchers when pitchers are in the zone like that, like when guys are just that good for that long. Is that your barometer for a pitcher? Because obviously we're spoiled when you're talking about Braves pitching.
Sure.
When you start, is that what you be saying? We say with a guy like Fried and them, it's like, dude, the thing about a pitcher is it's longevity. It's being good for a long,
Absolutely.
extended period of time. Because like Clayton Kershaw, people can say, yeah, he could be the greatest of his era. But I will take anybody other than Scherzer because Scherzer gets on my nerves. It feels like he pitches all game, even though he does get, he only can pitch so many innings. It just feels like all game.
I mean, when he's on, he is, darn near unhittable. The Braves couldn't do much with him at all last night. So you tip your cap, you move on, you say, we'll take our chances with David Peterson coming up tonight and try to draw it back to a game and a half. Should be fun. Great atmosphere last night. We'll see it again. We'll take 3 around the corner. Hour 2 next. Good to have you back. Hour 2. He has been Troop. I'm Kevin Thomas. Glad you are with us. We'll talk some golf. Rich Styles, Back Nine Boys Golf Show, will join us coming up in just a little bit. The Open Championship this week. Might it be the last major for Tiger Woods? Certainly saying a lot of things that could lead you down that road. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But first, Ben, let's take 3 here on 3 and Out, shall we? All right, take 1. SEC Media Days next week. Which coach do you most want to hear from at SEC Media Days next week? That's totally up to you. I mean, there's 14 of them. Which one is most interesting to you?
Brian Kelly. I want to hear from him because, Kevin, I don't know what the hell he's going to say. I don't know who I'm talking to. I mean, let's because this is the thing, right? Hasn't it been weird? Like, obviously, the media attention to him has died down some. Obviously, it was huge him coming from Notre Dame to LSU. Then he's dancing with recruits. He got a different accent at the basketball game, saying stuff like, "Oh, we don't have accents up north." Like, what are you talking about? Brian Kelly, I want to know why you left. Like, I really want to know, because I'm not saying you made a bad choice. I just want to know what went into that choice, because when you start saying what adds to the prestige of the SEC, you're leaving Notre Dame for anything other than, if you're going from Notre Dame to Alabama, Notre Dame to Georgia, I understand it. But you left Notre Dame for LSU. You got more money, but you thought the pressure was immense in Notre Dame. It's going to be even more. I want to know, and something you said, I want to hear from Coach Harsin, because that was about as weird of an offseason I've ever seen. They do want you. They don't want you. You want to be here. You don't want to be here. Getting rid of both coordinators. You lost your starting quarterback. What is going on in Auburn? Players talking about the type of environment what's going on down there and all these different. So I do want to hear from, Brian Kelly. I do want to hear from Coach Harsin. But, hey, man, I want to hear from Coach Mike Leach. Mike Leach has been very, very quiet, too. It's not – and it probably just – he's probably not going to talk about football. He's probably going to say some type of analogy, because Mike Leach is one of those guys the way he said, look, I want you talking about, Mississippi State. Hey, we play football over here, and can that air raid? Because Kevin, he's stubborn. I'm sticking with the air raid. I don't care how y'all feel about it. I'm gonna throw it around the yard. So Kelly 1, obviously Coach Harsin 2, and give me Coach Mike Leach number 3.
Yeah, I think those are 3 good ones. I would say Brian Harsin for me, because I think he's the guy that's the biggest hot seat guy, if you will. Just because you're like, after 1 year, you're already getting rumors about you potentially trying to get out, trying to go back to the Northwest. Like, what's the deal there at Auburn? My number, if I had to go number 2, it would be looking no further than Tennessee.
Coach Heupel.
Coach Heupel, he
did his thing last year.
You said last year you feel like you could be better. You brought up to you're better. Well, now it's no secret what you're trying to do could be a lot of sore hammies. At times,
are you Mississippi State East? Even though it's working,
could be a lot of sore hammies until they get to the sideline, and then they feel better and try to play defense against your offense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see that? It's like, have we stopped? Everybody get a breather? All right, let me jog off the field real quick. All right, I'll come back in.
Hold on, we got a guy in this. I saw the coach.
We have a get back coach, and when we play Tennessee, you have a get down coach.
Here you go. Did you forget something? There it is. You got a shot from the start.
And I think I'm with you. My number 3 would be Brian Kelly. Like, again, you left Notre Dame to go to the SEC. That's a strange move, but I get it. Everything's bigger, better in the SEC, but you still, I don't think you could leave Notre Dame saying, I did it all. I did everything I could do. Well, you did a lot.
Yeah,
you got all-time winningest coach. Yeah. You put a lot of guys in the National Football League. You've been in the college football playoff some. Haven't been to the championship game. I think there's and again, when you're going up against all-timers, when you're talking about, the Newt Rockneys and, I mean, even more recently, the Lou Holtz, got a championship, right? Why did you want to stay to try to get that? Because it's not like they're far off, right? I mean, I think you look at his team and you go, okay, are they Alabama, Georgia? No, but they're not far off. They was able to get into they're able to get into the playoffs within the last.
And you control your destiny, which kind of like, picking. I play some ACC schedule, I play some out of conference schedule, and I let my regular season speak for itself.
Right. And so I don't think, and again, I think he could have stayed at Notre Dame and done just fine. Do people want a championship? Yes. But I think that's what, again, it's not one of those where if Nick Saban left tomorrow and said, hey, I'm going to go coach literally anywhere. It's like, hey, I'm going to go coach at, I'm 70 years old. I just want to finish up coaching some guys for fun. We're going to go to, Louisiana Monroe, and we're just going to, okay, you have nothing to prove, right? You're better than the Bear. You're better than, like you have nothing left. You've done it all. You've accomplished a lot. There's no reason. Yep. Brian Kelly, I think you could have stayed at Notre Dame and said, look, we're going to try to shoot.
Marcus Freeman, he loving it right now. Like I said, I want to hear from him because I want to say, because, is his accent coach going, come on, just do the diaphragm. Hello.
My family. All right. Anyways, moving on. Take two. According to Tony Rizzo with ESPN Radio Cleveland, Deshaun Watson looking at a 4 to 6 game suspension, Ben. Would that be enough? Because I think in a lot of people's minds, they would say, you had 20 plus women, 20 of whom got, can I say this, paid off? You settled.
We know what a settlement is.
You settled. And you, meaning the league, just suspended a guy, Calvin Ridley, for a whole year at least, maybe more.
Yeah.
For gambling.
Because he might be gambling now under another name.
Because Calvin Ridley won.
CR.
Yeah, they did not get my last account.
I put C Ridley.
It's like when you get flagged on social media, it's like, you must change your account. Okay. Calvin Ridley won. _1.
Calvin Ridley,
but to that end, Ben, you gave Calvin Ridley a year suspension for gambling. What he said was $1,500.
Yeah.
But you gave him a year suspension for that.
Yeah.
Granted, at this point, you settled.
Yep.
So there's not a guilty verdict, but there's still other cases pending.
It's not an innocent verdict either. It just.
Well, I understand that. So 4 to 6 games, if that's true, would that be enough?
No. Now, once again, Kevin, it's who you asking who's enough. To the NFL, oh, yeah. Because we did something, right? He did get suspended, right? 4 to 6 games.
You get 4 games for taking PEDs.
You do.
I'm just saying.
And I think that let's just call this what this is, all right? The NFL has a perception problem. What is their perception problem? Yeah, caring about women, right? That's their problem. And every time they get a chance to, put a dent in it, they make it worse. Dan Snyder, they make it worse.
Look, I don't know what the appropriate amount would be, but 4 to 6 games when you suspend a guy for gambling.
Half a season at least makes people go, okay. Because, Kevin, I'm sorry. There's 17 games left. 17 games in the season. So just say he missed the first 6. And they go, I don't know, 11-6. And they get, you see what I'm saying? It's almost like, now I will say this. Let me just put the NFL business hat on. They do got a scapegoat. They're gonna say he did go to court. They did say he's not guilty. He did settle, which settle means AKA you're not gonna hear from those 20 women at all. Now, the other 4, I don't know. But the thing about Deshaun Watson is it's the negative cloud it has on
but the NFL goes off of these. They've suspended guys for much less in the name of you're damaging the shield. You're damaging. Anytime you hear Deshaun Watson for the last 2 years, it's been about this, and not about football.
But it's the thing, right? They also made sure, like, you don't think publicity matters? Hey, man, what helps the NFL with Deshaun Watson? The most guaranteed money ever in a contract. People gonna say, come on, man. Because, Kevin, Deshaun Watson has earned the benefit of the doubt. What do they call what? Football fans. Hey, man, come on, man. Ain't no way he could have, right? And then, so I will say, me personally, I thought it was going to be at least 8 games. And
again, this is not 5. This is just speculation.
I will say this,
from Tony Rizzo.
I don't think 6 games is enough. I do think half a season, because if you look at that contract, that big money don't hit till 2023. So even the Cleveland Browns have prepared themselves to play without Deshaun Watson in 2022. But if they get the call and say, wait, what? 4 to 6. I'll call you back. Man, they telling us 4 to 6, he got a shot. They only paid him, I think, like $1 million in 20. He paid more money than the settlement.
So you're probably right.
I don't think 4 to 6 is enough, but I do understand the NFL scapegoat would be, Kevin, that if they do, I would say 6 more than 4. He had his day in court. He met with Roger Goodell. And this is the thing. When you meet with Roger Goodell wants to make sure that the investigation that he did against you matches with what comes out your mouth. He wants to say, all right, man, what's up? Ain't nobody here but you and me, bro. Deshaun, what? Do you got a massage problem? I'm just saying they want to know, because Kevin, once again, if you are Commissioner Thomas of the NFL, right? He's one of the faces. And if you don't think being one of the faces of the NFL matters, all right, you don't believe it is? You remember when a one-time Brady missed the whole season because he had the torn ACL? Can you hit quarterbacks low now? Remember when Peyton Manning missed the whole season with nerve damage in his neck? Can you hit a quarterback high now? Because that's who you paying to see. If you're going to Cleveland for anything, are you there to see the Cleveland Browns, or are you there to see Deshaun Watson? David Clowney play for the Browns. No one cares. Myles Garrett plays for the Browns. Denzel Ward plays for the Browns. Nick Chubb and David Njoku and also Hooper. Don't care. I want Deshaun Watson. So if Kevin, once again, remember you said, is Greg Sankey doing what's best for the SEC or best for college football? In his mind, he's doing both. But I'm leaning more SEC more than college football. The NFL goes, look, man, we gotta sell tickets. What about Cleveland gonna make you want to come see the Browns? Listen, and I get they got other guys in there, Jacoby Brissett or whomever. So we'll see. But Kevin, once these kind of these leaks come out, they let you know it ain't gonna be a year. It ain't gonna be no year. And guess what? As soon as they say add quarterback out of Clemson, I'm gonna and full disclosure, I'm gonna be watching too. Yep. I ain't gonna lie.
There you go. Hey, all right, finally, take 3. Ronald Acuna is going to be in the Home Run Derby next week. What is your favorite all-star event? Not just for MLB, but just all the sports have all-star events. What's your favorite one? Not the game.
Well, back in the dunk contest, Kevin, when they actually dunked, like they didn't get 45 minutes to make a dunk. It was a dunk contest. I go way back to 2000 when Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady. You know what I'm saying? When they was getting it in, back when the dunk
before
contest,
all the props came in.
Yeah, before all the props, before you got to before you got to bring in another basketball goalie, you got to bring in
automobiles.
Collins is bringing in a freaking he bringing in a fake little airplane that he barely made it over. By the way, you need to rethink that. I think it's too. To me it is the home run derby, because sometimes, right, you want to watch pros in their element saying, "Hey, man, I want to show you like what they do." They sitting there with the backwards hat. They like S. And Kevin, like you said, all right, bring it. Wham. It's like once they get to going, it's like that stuff is beautiful. That's kind of like when everybody got their camera. You see the little flashes. It's incredible to watch, man. Like, because that helps with the star power. Bryce Harper don't need no star power. But when he's in the home run derby, oh my God, Pete Alonso plays for the Mets, plays for my Gators. I get it, but that adds to it. And plus, it's incredible. Vlad Jr., Aaron Judge. You know what I'm saying? Albert Pujols gonna be in this thing. There isn't an age limit. Like he's breaking the age barrier. I'm doing, because when you think about
over under, if you hear Albert Pujols go
no. Over under. Does he grab his back with his over? And is his wife going, I told you, baby, I'm telling you, like, because it's something about that atmosphere, something about that
sure.
That arena. It has to be the home run derby now, because we don't appreciate how hard it is to do what they're doing. You can sit in a ballpark for hours. You go, bam, got under. People, 400 or something feet don't happen every day. We need to get out of that, But it is the home run though, because Kevin, it's the one thing now to where I don't want to do no skills challenge. I don't want to do old Rockets and new Rockets shooting from half court. I don't want to see Big Cat winning the 3-point contest. And I'm tired of seeing a 6'10" guy miss dunks. You are 6'10". So give me the home run derby. It's authentic. It's pure. You love it. Just got to be my favorite thing.
Just give me guys that mash. The fun my fun side gig is the when they play the celebrity softball game, and you see the celebrities out there hitting, and then it's like they're doing pretty good, and then you see like the old timers. I say the old timers, like guys who aren't in the big leagues anymore, who are out there, and they're like, "Yeah, let me show you something," and then it's wham, and you go, "Okay, this is a difference in a normal human being."
Of course.
And then this is the difference.
Because what it is, you'll say, "Look, man, So no, they sitting there with Jose Canseco's in the celebrity softball, and they'll go, "Yo, Jose, man, you was all right. He was all right, right?" Next thing you know, he like this. All right, y'all want to play? and then the pitcher go, "Y'all had." The next thing you know, wham! It's almost like when you see it in person, like, dude, that thing, the bat speed, it's out of here.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you are right. I mean, I
That's
can
my guilty
appreciate the celebrity
pleasure.
stuff, but I mean, I do think like. I like it. If you're doing, I don't know if they do pick up baseball games, and you don't know that some guy was, a minor leaguer. He comes out there, he like, yeah, man, I just passed through. You just passed through and just happen to have a whole bunch of bats stuff in your trunk. Yeah. Next thing you know, come on, let's go with it. Next thing you know, wham, like this. And then somebody goes, man, what's your name again, bro? Because I can Google you. But yeah, it's always gonna be the home run derby. It is beautiful to watch, especially when it ends up guys be 20 some home. It's incredible. So I'm looking, Mr. Vlad Jr. with no gloves on. He kills baseballs.
Yeah, I love seeing again anything that kind of shows off the athleticism and the talent they have. Unbelievable. I say this from a couple of years ago when it was in Florida. The All-Star game was in Miami, and I actually went to Miami like a couple of weeks after and went to a baseball game. And I remember Justin Bohr for the Marlins was in it, and he was hitting balls to the back of the stadium, up off the high back wall. And we went to a game there, and I'm like, so that dude hit a ball up there, and it's like. That is a long
now think about this.
That is a long.
Just imagine
you get that reference.
And somebody goes, "Yo, guy up there, wait, me? Yeah, put your glove up. Put my glove up for what? Put it up. All right.
It's coming like with some heat.
There's no way you can hit that. What? Wham! Like this. Because listen, I don't think people understand. There are people that don't drive 400 or something feet.
Yeah,
like that is ridiculous. So, shout out to the major leaguers, man, showing us all why we need to shut up when we think, why do you get paid so much? Watch this.
There you go. We got more to come. We'll come back. We're talking a little golf. Rich Styles of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show will join us next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along. Here it is, 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. The Open Championship this week at St. Andrews across the pond, the birthplace of golf. Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, joins us here on the program. Rich, how's it going?
It's going okay. Great. It's going to be a great week for golf, I'll tell you.
Oh, absolutely. And again, the birthplace of golf there, and Rich Tiger Woods sounding off on a number of things. Including, he's kind of waxing poetic about St. Andrews before. And then, I think had a quote today of, hey, it started in 05. If it ends in 22, I'm who knows? I'm good with that. Are you starting to feel like Tiger knows like there's not going to be too many more of these, or could this possibly be it?
It could possibly be it for sure. But I doubt it. I think Tiger is just kind of looking at life realistically and what his life is going to be like now that he's recovered from that terrible car accident that he was in. He's lucky to be walking. He said that was his first goal. And, he's played coming up to today, he's played 112 holes in the last week. 58 of those he has walked. And I think this is going to be a test for him to see if he can again make the cut, as he has in the two previous events that he's played. But as he said, if this is my last chance to play the Open here at St. Andrews, where golf was born, I'm okay with that. And I think he's realistically looking at his life and seeing what might be like to not be playing a full schedule, which he said, I will not be playing a full schedule anymore.
And Rich, you said earlier, you doubt that this might be his last, when you talk about just playing professional golf at St. Andrews, from what you know of Tiger Woods, obviously he's certain guys just bigger than the game. Certain guys are the reason why you watch, certain guys are the reason why you became a fan or an enthusiast of the sport. With what you know of Tiger and that just competitive nature, do you think he just has to just take time in between if he's going to continue his career? Or do you think he sits back and says, what else can I accomplish in this sport?
Oh, I think that's a very good possibility, but there still is more for him to accomplish. He's trying to, reach Jack Nicklaus as far as major wins. He's 3 away. He's got, over 80 wins total, and I think he wants to increase that. So I think there's still the competitiveness in Tiger Woods from a mental aspect. I think from a playing standpoint, I think his short game is going to suffer. I think he's got to practice a little bit more on that. But I also think Tiger's now looking at life where, one, he's not going to be playing a full schedule. His body is not how it used to be. So although Tiger probably will expect himself to play like he used to, but he can't expect to play like he used to. He can't be as aggressive as he used to. I think he's got to play within the body and the legs that he has now since his accident. And as I said, he is very capable of playing, but whether or not he can go 4 full rounds of golf walking, even though it's at St. Andrews where it's much flatter than other courses, that's going to be the big difference. Will his body hold up?
And Rich, obviously, when you see athletes get older, the ones that have the really long careers, you see them change the way they play the game a little bit to adapt to who they are at the end of their career. Does this actually play into that sentiment a little bit, where it's flat, the ball rolls? Maybe you don't have to blast it the way Tiger Woods used to off the tee. You can kind of let the ball roll a little bit more than maybe you did in the past. Is that conducive to him maybe not having to go with those, high torque, monstrous drives that we're used to seeing from Tiger?
Yeah, I think if Tiger can, hit his 275 to 300 yard drives and keep it in play, keep it out of the deep rough that's over there. The main part about playing the old course at the Open is keeping it out of the bunkers. I think if he gets in trouble, it's going to be because he's in the bunkers and maybe trying to get too much out of a drive. Those bunkers are going to be difficult for him to get into as far as his physical ability with his leg. And I think it's going to be difficult for him to get out of, and that's going to take a toll on his body. But Open now at St. Andrews, and Zach Johnson was the winner in 2015. It's because the course was soft. And if the course plays hard and rolling, I think Tiger's got a chance. Putting is going to be key. But the main point about trying to win at the Open at St. Andrews is keeping it out of the bunkers.
And Rich, even to that end, I mean, when we talk about golfers in general, does a place like St. Andrews bring out the best or the worst of a golfer when you saying, look, this course is very, very, forgiving if you want to just go crazy off the tee, and as long as you keeping it straight. But as you mentioned, it is very unforgiving if you find yourself in this rough. Well, it gets really rough.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you get in the rough, it's going to be difficult. You're just going to have to punch your way out. And I don't think Tiger's, going to be body-wise going to be able to make that full turn like he did before. He's got the upper body strength, but I think his lower body strength is not what it used to be. And if you look at Zach Johnson's win at the last time that the Open was at St. Andrews in 2015, he stayed out of the bunkers. He doesn't drive the ball far. The course was soft, so they could go for the pins, which that helps. But again, it just depends on the weather conditions. There's chances of rain every day. Of course, we have that here too. But it's also going to be windier than maybe they've had it in the past. So there's a couple of things that you would have no control over whatsoever, and that's weather. And you also have no control over the fact of, how is everybody going to be playing this golf course? It's really not made for long hitters. What it's made for is kind of target golf, and trying to, what is the best angle that you can come into the green where it's going to be the least amount of trouble once you get there.
Rich Stiles back, Nine Boys Golf Show, joining us here on 3 and Out. And Rich, we can't go through a major without talking about the live guys. I know Tiger sounded off saying, look, I don't understand why those guys went and did that. Do any of those guys have a chance? Who are some other guys that you have your eye on this week there at the old course?
Well, I think, you've always got to take a look at a Dustin Johnson, but I'm not sure that from a competitive standpoint, a mental standpoint, that he's going to be able to, to pull that off. I think Xander Schauffele is playing unbelievable. You got to look at Jordan Spieth, who has, won before. Got to look at Rory McIlroy. Those are some guys that I think that you could take a look at. Justin Thomas. It's the same kind of guys that we've talked about all year as far as who have a chance. I think it's who's going to not get into trouble, and I think it's who's going to be able to control their game, control their wedges with length and accuracy, and be able to not make some big numbers and stay out of the bunkers.
Rich, I read something. You will have to clarify for me. Is the PGA under some investigation of doing something when it comes to practice rounds or something when it comes to the live tour? You're gonna have to let me know if I'm off track here.
Well, no, you're probably not off track. Yeah, they're being investigated by the federal government, by the Department of Justice, and I think this happened again 30 years ago when Greg Norman tried to start his own league, and it was quashed by the PGA Tour, and they backed him up saying that everything was fine. You've got a lot of smart people down at the PGA Tour, and a lot of these people have law degrees, and a lot of these people are going to look at every angle whatsoever. But it was 30 years ago, and it may come out differently this time. And I think that they're going to run up some legal bills. I think that it's going to be interesting. We've talked several weeks about that this thing is going to end up in court. So here we are. It's going to go the distance. There's not going to be a knockout at this point. And I think from a standpoint of the PGA Tour, they've got to be pretty sure of where they are. And I think, the Live Tour is trying everything that they can from a legal standpoint, from a non-legal standpoint, to try and, get their teeth into the players on the PGA Tour to come over and to make a point that, we're here to stay, which with the money they've got behind them, they probably are. But I still think one of the big points that will not be settled in court, that will be settled, is the world ranking points. They're only playing 54 holes, so they're playing as many holes as a Champions Tour event. They're not going to get as many world ranking points, even if they are approved. So that's going to make it more difficult for these young guys that have been going from amateur golf or college golf or Corn Ferry Tour to the Live Tour to get into majors. And it's going to be harder for some of the people like Dustin Johnson and some others to be able to qualify if they don't have these world ranking points.
Rich, I know you thought it was going to the courts. I know they're looking into it for anti-competitive stuff. Did you think that? I mean, did you think the federal government was going to get involved in this thing at the end of the day? I was kind of shocked when I saw it was like, hey, Department of Justice is looking at the PGA Tour. I'm like, well, that's a little bit farther than I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to your mailbox and you see something in there from the IRS. I mean, it's all of a sudden you don't want to open it. You just kind of go, well, maybe I'll just leave it in the mailbox and, say nobody was home. But, it does take it up a notch as far as the importance. And again, I think the PGA Tour is going to come out okay because there's some very smart people down there who have run this and, knew what they were doing and feel very secure about what the decisions that they're making. But it does put another light. And as I said, it brings it up a notch to have the DOJ say, we're going to take a look at this and just kind of see what happens.
Absolutely. The Open Championship coming up early Thursday morning is for those who like to get up in the morning. Rich, this is the best major, right? 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you're seeing great golf while you're eating breakfast.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, you're talking 6 o'clock in the morning. You can get up and see major golf, coming up on Thursday morning. I mean, if you can't sleep at night, at least you can watch some live golf. That'll be great.
Rich, I gotta say, I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna wait on Rich to give me my updates. I will be watching golf in my dreams.
Hey, I'll be up. I'll have my first cup of coffee, and I may be working on my second.
Hey, Rich, we appreciate it as always. We'll talk again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, the Open Championship. Tiger Woods might just be. I know he's getting sentimental about St. Andrews.
Them fans gonna be going crazy to get this. This might be our last chance to see Tigers, and St. Andrews gonna be wild.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got more to come. It's 3 and Out. Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Tuesday. Braves and Mets coming up a little bit later tonight. SEC Media Days, Ben, coming up next week. We know Stetson Bennett going to be representing the University of Georgia. And Ben, you and I were talking about this before the show. Kind of interesting. Stetson's the defending national champion quarterback. You haven't had one of those at the SEC since what, Tua? And you usually don't get it much out of the SEC. You win it, you're gone. You go in the National Football League. Stetson comes back. Going to try to do it again. So he's a guy that should have a lot of eyeballs on him, Ben. And you and I both agree. Is he even going to be like the media votes while you're at SEC Media Days on preseason teams? Is Stetson even going to be second team all SEC? And again, I'm not saying he should be the number one quarterback in the league, but I've seen some preseason lists put out by various companies like he's the 7th, 8th quarterback in the league. I'm like, I mean, I'm not saying he's number one. I'm saying he should be a little better than that. But here's a guy who had statistically a good season. Great season. Won a national championship, may not be even second team all SEC to start the year. I mean, that's incredible to me.
It's crazy, Kevin, because sometimes you could be in the best situation on one of the best teams, on the best team, and it's still everybody but you. They give Stetson Bennett the credit of being, MVP of the game, making the throw of the game, coming back from a horrendous fumble, which I'm still trying to figure out how he did that. And they'll start talking about everything around him. Brock Bowers, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, and so on and so forth. Bryce Young is going to be first team all SEC because he won the Heisman. Yeah. But if Bryce Young didn't win the Heisman, he won the SEC. He won the national championship. Of course, he's going to be first team all SEC. So what's the difference? Well, being, man, Bryce Young, man, he's much bigger than Stetson. No, he's not. Okay, well, that doesn't work. Okay, well, Bryce Young won the Heisman. Okay, this other guy won the national championship. I think the thing about Stetson Bennett is Stetson Bennett shows you the, quote, politics of college football.
And put together a drive to put the game away. Put the game away.
Look, once again, if you don't think genetics matters in football, you are lying to yourself. If you don't think if Stetson Bennett was 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", it's different. It's almost like they're coming up with every reason to validate why they don't give him what he's earned. Stetson Bennett is the reason why every 5-star, the one that came there and the ones that they recruited, don't play. He's the only guy that was a walk-on. And guess what? He's coming back. The reason why he came back is he said, I think I'm better than all these guys in this room.
But you know as well as I do, there's a reason he's playing.
Absolutely.
Also, so a lot of people
an incredible talent.
I think a lot of people put the argument the other way and go, why aren't all these 5-stars playing?
Uh-huh.
Well, there's a reason for that. It's because the other guys are better at that point.
That's what people ain't talking about. As much as we think 5-stars matter, right? As much as we think it matters, if that were the case, Stetson Bennett's not getting a call back to come to, because I know that Kirby Smart made 2 calls in his life. JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett. He wanted both to come back. Now, all last year, people kept saying, JT was in there. If JT was in there, Stetson Bennett went undefeated in the regular season. He didn't lose a game. Okay, well, Stetson Bennett lost in the SEC championship game. Yeah. Well, Alabama's going to beat most teams. And then when he had a chance to avenge them, he got it done. Once again, though, yeah, when he walks in the room, yeah, he doesn't pass the eye test. Now, when he walks in the room, that's it. That's him. Got the big, Big Bird afro hair, right? Not the biggest dude. But Kevin, I thought it was coming down to what we did on. Cause check this out. Trayvon Walker wasn't on no teams. He ain't get all SEC. He ain't get All-American. And he was the number 1 pick. Why? Because he's 6'5", 270, ran a 4.5. So what got Trayvon in doesn't help Stetson, because you know how it is, Kevin. People go, well, what about his numbers? He's in the top 5. I think 30 touchdown passes, like 6 or 7 picks. QBR was in the top. You don't want to do this. I'm feeling like Stetson Bennett's, distant cousin BJ Bennett. But I think that too, Kevin. See, you're starting to see the flaws. What else you want from him? And I hope he does. If Anthony Richardson of Florida did that, Kevin, you were trying to decide, do I give him first team all ACC or do I give it Bryce Young? Because they look the part. And we need to stop this. We need to stop thinking that you're trying to find deficiencies.
Yeah, but he played the part.
No. Stetson Bennett is the part.
Well, I get. That's
and
what I
I'm
was
saying
saying.
the same things. I think, Kevin, you are starting to realize, wait a minute. Now, blind taste test, you put them all, every quarterback in the SEC with their jersey on. All right, that guy, and you'll say, would the national champion step forward? And to me, that just lets you know Stetson is built for where he is, and he's a really, really good quarterback. It ain't that. It's not like I'm making an excuse for him. No, the dude did it. He did it. So I think that the thing about the SEC is what they want is, hey man, when's the last time Georgia had a national champion? Oh, Stetson Bennett.
Well, but that's my point. Is that you're going into this thing next week, and you don't believe it'll happen. I don't believe it'll happen. There's a lot of people who don't like. He's not going to be on the preseason All SEC list.
You know why, Kevin?
Maybe as third, but most people aren't.
You know why they're not going to put him on list? Because he might win whatever list he's on. And see, the thing about college football that will never change, that will never ever change, the narratives. The strongest thing you're going to get in college athletics or sports in general is the narratives that come out about you. There's nothing you can do about it, but we shape them. Yet in the process, all last year, JT, 2 years running, you could say Stetson Bennett has meant more to the Georgia program the last 2 years than any player, because who kept getting hurt? JT Daniels kept getting hurt. Why did he leave USC? Got hurt. First got to Georgia, got hurt, and then that debut, people like, woo! And what happened after that? After that debut against Mississippi State that night, what happened? Kind of came down a little bit, right? Then he kept getting hurt again. JT and Stetson Bennett I'm just gonna step in. I mean, because last time I checked, Stetson Bennett was 1, 2, he about third or fourth on the depth chart when he first came back. He just bided his time. He said, hey man, I ain't no playing favorites. Have you ever met Kirby Smart? He don't got no reason to be playing favorites to these guys. He's still gonna be recruiting, but he goes, hey, if these guys were better than me, they would play. But a football, just like in life, is what have you done for me lately? Win a natty. That's what I did for you, coach. Yeah. Listen. With George Pickens hurt all year. With, Jermaine Burton, he was in and out of the lineup. He was okay. It was me and a freshman tight end named Brock Bowers. And a running game that was okay. Come on, man. Now, I know nobody gets mad at those Alabama teams of winning with those great defenses. Nobody gets mad, with these other teams. Nobody got mad at Russell Wilson. I mean, when he had the Legion of Boom, all of a sudden, man, he had, hell, I hope I win with these great players. That's what you're supposed to do, right? So I think for Stetson, right, what everybody else gets the benefit, Kevin, it becomes an excuse for, oh, well, he only did it because the defense don't play offense.
Yeah, and then again, put together a drive to put the game away.
Yep.
Now the defense obviously sealed it with a pick at the end, but when it was kind of getting hairy there, he thought, hey, maybe Alabama's got a chance. Put together a drive. Got Georgia in the end zone.
And that throw was, and once again, that was Tua to Devonta Smith. They had a throw that helped them seal it. And I just think that for Stetson Bennett, that you want to know why he's good? People go, well, man, maybe he only got good. No, go back to high school. He was good then. He was incredible in high school. But once again, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I don't have tall parents. I'm sorry.
But he can sling the ball.
Yeah. And listen, and he's a national champion. Ain't too many people in college football, me included, can say that.
And we got more to come. Here it is, 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you on this Tuesday. Braves and Mets coming up later tonight. We'll talk about that. Got to do better than last night, but you got Scherzer. It is what it is. I know there's some Met fans listening that are probably like, Scherzer's right. No, look, it happens.
So chop it up, get him. Yeah, it's almost like get it over, get out of the way. Let's move on. He'll do that. Scherzer ain't nice. Scherzer is elite.
He'll do that to a lot of people. But hey, good to see Robinson Cano had a couple hits last night, so he's out of the lineup tonight. But
yes.
Yeah, he jumped right into it, didn't he?
Yes. I'm trying to tell you, Kevin, you know that coach was serious with them bravos.
He got the first hit. He turned and looked at the dugout and was like, gave that little.
And they told him, hey, bro, when you get a hit, this is what we do. Don't be tripping.
We practice hitting. We practice running. We practice catching.
And shout out to the 82 babies, Robinson Cano. He had 182. He better rep. Because after this, he's gonna need a cold shower with a lot of Bengay and a rub down.
You are all up in folks' medicine cabinet thing. Like Tiger Woods plane smells like Bengay, Robinson Cano, Bengay and ice. Like,
okay, but listen. When you out there, that young energy take over you. But when you walk in there, you go straight to the rocking chair. Yeah, it's rough. Okay, I'm just saying. Like, listen, as my daddy would say, getting old is a choice. Getting older is inevitable. So don't get old, people, just get older. But last night, Robinson Cano, he all smiles. But this lady was looking at the stands like, don't be trying to. I bet you, listen, if it come down, he say, you think you can get that double? No, because I got to slide. I'm not doing it. That's when you got it in you.
May not get up. Hey, we got another hour to go. We're leading up to Braves and Mets. This is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. You can also catch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to our YouTube page, ESPN Coastal, there on YouTube. Final hour next.
doesn't even suffice the two independent conferences when you talk about the SEC and the Big Ten. ACC, do yourself a favor. Stop looking desperate, because you're going to make the members that still want to be in the ACC want to get out. North Carolina, Miami, Florida State, Clemson. They don't want nothing to do with Utah State. Utah. You know, I mean, so I just think that, Kevin, while all stones have to be unturned, you got to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. I can understand that. But two separate coasts to do what? Like, what are we doing? Clemson versus what? Clemson is the top dog in the ACC right now. They're not the biggest brand. They're not the biggest brand in their state. They're the best brand of football in their state. They're not the biggest brand in their state. That would be South Carolina. But I think when I start looking outside of myself, at what point does the commissioner of the Pac-12 say, well, whoa, what do you mean? We don't do that over here. What the hell you mean we an alliance? Yeah, well, alliance means different things to different people. Partner, because last time I checked, Kevin, when two quote businesses merge, they become one, don't they? Like, if I merge with your company, what are we going to call the company? I can't call it yours and mine. I can't call it ours. What are we going to call it? And I think that's where the disconnect is. The conversations they have in the Pac-12 are totally different than what they have in the ACC.
I don't think this would be a merger as much as like, hey, we'll work together to ensure our survival. But again, as we have seen, there is no, what's the saying? There's no honor amongst thieves. But, I mean, there's no loyalty amongst conferences because, again, if I'm Jim Phillips, I can have an agreement with the Pac-12 all I want. But as soon as Washington and Oregon get a phone call, they might dip. Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, reportedly been reached out to by the Big 12. They might dip. Like, what are you partnering with? I know you want to try to be stable, but there's a lot of wondering eyes in the Pac-12 right now. So I think if you're the ACC, I would say, are you better off partnering with the Big 12? And you can say now,
that would make more sense.
Now, is anybody clamoring for Duke Baylor? No. But I think in terms of a conference that is stable, if you want to say, hey, look, we are going to have to fight for dollars against the SEC and the Big Ten. That's just how it is. Now, can we agree to play each other in non-conference and at least try to give ourselves P5 v P5 matchups? Could we get, Miami, Oklahoma State? Could we get, West Virginia, Virginia Tech to play? Could we get some of those things to happen to make sure that we stay? I think that's a better partnership the way I see it, because I think the Pac-12 to me is on very shaky ground with a lot of schools rather, looking around going, who's going to call me? Because I think you got a lot of similarities. Like you said, Ben, it's like, hey, the dance is tomorrow. And there's a lot of folks sitting by the phone going, well, if they call, I'm going to say yes. So I could go, right? I think that is what the Pac-12 is looking at. Again, there is already shown no loyalty at all to these things. And loyalty dissipates in the blink of a phone call as far as that goes. But the ACC, they're going to have their kickoff next week. Certainly Jim Phillips, he'll give his state of the union, so to speak. And to me, his biggest challenge is you're in a tough media deal. Maybe that's what's saving you actually at this point, is that you're in a bad deal, but the deal's so blasted far out into the future, like nobody can afford to buy themselves out of it right now. But to me, you got to figure out a way to get a better deal to keep your conference together. And again, the TV networks will probably be reluctant to do that because, like, hey, we like this deal. It's not over for another 15 years.
Make it make sense to us. Y'all signed it, right?
Yeah.
So make it make sense to us.
So I think if I'm Jim Phillips, that's challenge number one. Hope you got to continue to do what's best for your conference. And as we've said a number of times, you have to hope certain teams take steps forward and become, I don't think you got to win national championships, Ben, but I think you need teams to become nationally talked about throughout the court.
Nationally relevant.
Because the one thing I think the ACC really, and I liked what John Swofford did. John Swofford saw ACC expansion. He was kind of on the forerunner of that, where a lot of people said, wait, why is the ACC taking teams from the Big East? He kind of knew where this thing was going at that point. He pushed for, the ACC network. I really think he worked well with the SEC. I don't know about Jim Phillips, but, John Swofford was instrumental in saying, look, we want to go to the playoff. I think he, before he stepped out, was working with Greg State. He's like, hey, maybe we want to expand this thing. So I think you've seen some forward thinking there, But I think if you're the ACC, you need teams that are relevant late into the season. One of the biggest mistakes I think they ever made, they did it for TV, was, hey, we want Florida State and Miami to play in the championship game, right? We'll put them on opposite sides of the conference. They've yet to play each other in the ACC championship game. And when Miami came in the league, Ben, they did what? Hey, we'll have Florida State and Miami play on when? Labor Day. Dumb. Why? Because one of your programs you're trying to hype up as a flag have a loss in week 1 of the college football season and a loss in conference, no less. That makes it awful tough. I think a couple back when the Big East was still rolling, people remember that one year is like, man, the Big East, really good. You had Rutgers, South Florida, all these teams were up there in the top 10, right? And they're like, what's going on in the Big? Then you look at the schedules like, they haven't played any conference games, and none of the big games are until the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And so you set up a schedule to put yourself in the limelight. And I think the ACC's done a poor job of that. I mean, again, you want teams to be relevant. You've got Georgia Tech and Clemson playing in week 1. You've had Miami and Florida State playing in week 1 in years past. I know you're doing it for the Labor Day TV dollars, but you're really, I mean, the worst thing for the ACC would be in Mercedes-Benz, Georgia Tech beats Clemson in week 1. Right? Because Georgia Tech, most people say Jeff Collins, he's on shaky ground. He's got a hard schedule. If they win 4 or 5 games, that might be a hell of a coach job.
Yes.
That happens, and they almost beat them last year. If that happens in week 1, your national title contender just got punched in the face. And so it's like, and so I look at stuff like that and you're going, man, you really are forestalling a lot of momentum. I think more so with my example of Florida State, Miami, back when both were pretty good. And you're like, one of these teams is going to take an L in week 1, and that's not good. You wouldn't have Alabama play Georgia in week 1.
No.
Right? You wouldn't go out there and say, hey, I'm looking at a schedule and I've got, let's say if you're the SEC, hey, Florida's nationally good. LSU's nationally good. I know. Let's have them play week 1. What? Why don't we have them play week 10 when they've got, 10 games under their belt and they're both in the top 15 and people know they're good? They won't fall as much. I think that's the one part to me where the ACC really messed up in some of their scheduling is you put some marquee matchups early on Labor Day, trying to fill that TV window, obviously, to get revenue. But to me, it hurts you more down the road when you kind of eliminate yourself from some of those matchups you're trying to get into the conference championship game. We've got more to come. SEC Media Days coming up next week. What are the big topics going to be? What are we talking about in Atlanta next week? Certainly expansion, but there's a lot of others I think are going to get brought back up to the table. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along. Here it is, 3 and Out on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. SEC Media Days coming up next week. You look at certainly the big topics, conference expansion that we've talked about, certainly where things are headed that way on the field. You're talking about winning another national championship, whether it's Alabama, Georgia, what have you. But Ben, something I think is going to get brought back up because it's kind of the first time it's come back around, and Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, they're not going to be there on the same days, but I think topics of NIL. How much do coaches know what the heck's even going on? Wink, wink, nod, nod. When it comes to NIL and their football programs, they probably would say, "Look, we have things in place for our athletes on campus," but how much do coaches concern themselves with that? Because technically, that's not their concern, right? I mean, you go to the NFL, head coaches are like, "Hey, what's your quarterback make?" Well, I know, but the front office does that, right? How much do you think coaches know about their roster in NIL and how much it may or may not be a distraction for guys on their team?
I don't think it is a distraction, Kevin. I do think they know a lot about it. You remember when Bryce Young first got college? Remember what Nick Saban said about him? Oh yeah, man, I think he has a 7-figure NIL deal, right?
Right.
Because Kevin, head coach is another name for control. We control everything that's going on as far as like as it pertains to knowing what's going on with these 85 guys. Every last guy when it comes to NIL does not have money coming or any type of deal coming. So yes, that's going to be a big topic of conversation, because when you look at how big these staffs are, Nick Saban, I think, was the first one to start doing the assistants, will start doing advisors and all these different things, right? I have so many coaches and advisors because I want to know everything's going on. I don't need to know every minute detail, but I need to know what's going on. Why? Because I don't want to be blindsided when it comes to these questions you're going to ask me. So yes, Kevin, they're going to have to be able to decide. Think about it. I can say it. Name a major college now that doesn't have some type of collective for these schools. Why is it easier to do that? Because everything is, quote, under one umbrella. Meaning, are there other collectives? Absolutely. But I want the one that's tied to the school, because I want to have a point person, a founder, a CEO, or some type of vice president, president. And Kevin, this is the thing, right? This is what this really is. Man, I want to know what these players getting. Not to decipher what they should or shouldn't get, but you said it the best. If I know you're getting something, I don't want to hear anything else about it. NILs are not talked about in the facility. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. If player X is at school Y and he's talking about NILs, that's going to be nipped in the bud. Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, Billy Napier, Brian Kelly, Coach Harsin, Kirby Smart. You know why they are very, 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 very complimentary of NILs? Because they can't stop it. It's bigger than them. So the last thing I want to sound like is I'm not in favor of these young men, but when the rubber meets the road, they're going to shut it down when it comes to football operations. Because, Kevin, you know just like I know, NIL don't help you win no games. No. They help you get recruits and keep them there. It don't help you win no games. So if they want to get money, all power to them. Because guess what? Nick Saban does control. I control their availability. Because they can't be there with you if they over here with me. Ain't finna be no NIL deals going on. Hey, coach, we want to come to the facility. Hell no. Not starting that. But yes, Kevin, they're going to have to talk about it. It's a part of college football. What reshaped college football is not NIL, it's not transfer portal. No, it's conference realignment. That's what reshaped it. Because the only thing that can reshape sports is it has to affect everybody. NILs don't affect everybody. I work with collectives down there at the University of Florida. You know, I do a podcast with them. Listen, I'm going to say this to the fans. I don't know nothing about the money. So don't be DMing me being what you think. I don't know, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know what one player is getting. That is not my business. I'm just a part of this thing to help them as far as talking to the fans. This is how I look without my helmet on. This is how I look when I'm away from the court, away from the baseball diamond, away from the swimming pool, away from the track. You want them, because branding is people rooting for you, period. Whether you're doing what you're doing or not. That is a brand. That is a brand. Whether you're doing it, even if far removed from it. But yes, Kevin, listen, let me tell y'all something, man. You don't make millions of dollars. Look, if you're the manager of a company, that means you got to manage personalities. That comes with a lot. So just imagine if the people you got to manage are 18 to 22 with stars next to their names. At your school, I'm that dude. And then somebody start giving them money. And then all of a sudden, hey, well, why don't you try that pass, man? Let me tell you something. Out here on this field, it's only 11 opportunities per play. If you want to be one of the top 11, you might want to get it right. Nick Saban and them, man, they benefiting from it. Oh, we know a team in Texas benefiting from it. But at the same time,
that was my whole point. The thing is,
and I'm not mad at Jimbo Fisher. Kevin, at the end of the day, if you and I just listen, everything's equal. You know, boosters, alumni, prestige, tradition, and my boosters just gave a little more. You're gonna be like, yes. I did not tell nothing screams your booster when I did not tell y'all. I told because at the
you're starting to, and again, we've heard coaches say this across the country in college football when it comes to NIL, because even though technically these schools aren't supposed to be facilitating, right? I mean, you had Ryan Day's like, hey, I need 13 mil. I need 13 million for what? To keep the players happy. Basically, right? Hey, I need 13 million to facilitate our players. What does that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think didn't Billy Napier says, hey, I need this amount.
Might as well put a number on it.
I need this amount to make sure that our guys that are on campus.
Why even hide it? Like, why? Think about it, Kevin. Okay, because this is what happens, right? I do think coaches start out real subtle, and man, let me try to go around it.
Sure.
But then I'm losing because listen, the lifeblood is to get them on campus. I got to get them in on my team first. Now I can't make them stay, but I got to get them here first. And because at the end of the day, name a team that wins the national championship that don't got some of the best players in the country. People go, well, being this college football, oh, the talent level ain't the same now. It ain't the same. It's even, but it's not the same. You know, you're like, well, being what you mean? Oh, both of those tight ends are both 6'5", 260. Yeah, they ain't got the same talent level. They both can get open. It ain't the same talent level. You don't believe me? Okay. Kyle Pitts is 6'6", 245, 250 pounds, right? Brock Bowers look real similar to a Kyle Pitts, don't he? As far as like, you can't cover him. So that's what you're looking for. I'm looking for that type of talent, not that play. Most tight ends, you put us in the room, we all look the same, by sound the same. Yeah. And somebody go, hut. You see the difference. As soon as they come out, you start to see the difference. Alabama, I want the best there is to offer, period. Because now I got Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. That was the last piece to the puzzle. Because Alabama had it all. Running backs, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, defense. Now I got quarterbacks. Who did it start with? I'm going to say that switch started with Jalen. I mean, Jalen Hurts, you talking about Tua, you talking about Mac, you talking about Bryce. What keeps them there? Oh, NIL deals. What do you mean? I mean, dude, I'm sorry. If I'm starting a quarterback at Alabama, I better be getting something. If somebody goes, hey, man, I'm just happy to be here, slap him in the face with baby powder. No. Because, Kevin, you know just like I know, they are benefiting from you, especially if you are Heisman. Bryce, you are tied to Alabama forever. Why? Because you are the only one. You don't think Texas A&M said, we're looking for, man, your son reminds me of Johnny Manziel. Of course they're going to, and they ain't got nothing to do with Jimbo. Jimbo has nothing to do, with Johnny Football. Tim Tebow, I don't think you can get a brand that big. But yes, Kevin, NIL is what helps do that because, listen, Kevin, both of your sons play baseball. You want the best for them. As soon as they say, well, we can offer a healthy NIL package. What do you mean? Well, Daddy, I don't want anything. Shh. Well, you know what you're saying. Because at the end of the day, they profit off the players that don't play. Think about that. If you are at school X, you are helping them make money. You better stop playing. And isn't it ironic that a certain company that sells jerseys are partnering with these schools outside of the fact they're already partnering with them? Now we're going to partner with the players. Why? Because players want jerseys. Man, I'm telling you, you should be getting something. So, yes, Kevin, the NIL stuff, they are aware of it. They got somebody on the staff. When they go around the staff meeting and they snap their fingers and point to them. Hey, man, what do you got? Oh, so-and-so right here just got a so-and-so. He had a DM. You better know. Because coaches don't like surprises.
Sure.
Do you like Kevin? I mean, hey, Bijan Johnson about to do the Lamborghini in Texas. It's cool. Just as long as I know about it before we do the commercial.
That's right.
I ain't tripping.
Hey, we got more to come here. 3 and Out. We'll continue looking at SEC Media Days coming up next week. A lot of coaches going to be fielding some pretty interesting questions. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. SEC Media Days coming up next week. Ben, what coach you think is going to be feeling the heat the most from the questions about his program? I think Jimbo Fisher is going to get a lot. I think Brian Harsin is going to get a lot because that was just an odd situation. There at Auburn, he comes in, some talk in the offseason. Hey, maybe he's wanting to get out, go to the Northwest. Maybe the Auburn folks don't want him there. And now he's back. I mean, this is about as strange as, Gus Malzahn taking less money to stay and not get fired. I mean, I think he's going to get some questions, obviously, about, hey, man, how you feel about the stadium program right now? The way things have gone.
I think it is going to be Jimbo, Kevin, because he made a lot of the off-season headlines, kind of kept SEC in the know, whether you like it or not. But I'm, I gotta put my hold on, let me put them front runner shoes on. Home team that I think it's Billy Napier, because this is the thing. People only question Brian Kelly going from Notre Dame to LSU. Everybody know who Brian Kelly was. Right? Everybody already knew who he was. Jimbo Fisher, because of, he's the number one in recruiting, but Jimbo Fisher has a national championship. You see what he's doing for Texas A&M.
Sure.
Billy Napier was the best coach in the Sun Belt. A lot of people do not know what the Sun Belt is. Right, wrong, indifferent. Right? He went from $2 million a year to $7.1 million a year to be the head coach of Florida, to try to undo what Dan Mullen could not do. Now, is Florida always going to be nationally relevant? Yes, they've achieved that. But they've been switching coaches a lot. Like, it's been a lot of since Urban Meyer, been a lot of coaches. I mean, Jim McElwain.
Well, he's the fourth one, right?
Yeah, Jim McElwain, Will Muschamp, Dan Mullen. They're gonna be saying, "Hey, man, so you the guy?" Yeah. What makes us think you the guy? Well, because the Sun Belt can't help you. Like, Kevin, sometimes, like when Lincoln Riley goes from Oklahoma to USC, people just saying, "Wow," but that's Lincoln Riley. Like, say what you want, that's Lincoln Riley. With Billy Napier, real similar to when Ron Zook got to Florida, I was like, the new head coach behind Steve Spurrier, the greatest coach of all time, Ron Zook. Who the hell is that? And that's what you're getting right now what Billy Napier did in this last recruiting class was incredible. But Billy Napier is also realizing how hard it is to recruit in Florida, not because Florida isn't a big brand, but because Florida hasn't really given a lot to recruiting in a while. It's been a while. So you got to undo what the previous coaching staff didn't do, by also ensuring to these players, hey, man, we can compete against Georgia. We can compete against Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri. We got a chance to go to Atlanta. And rightfully so. Like, I know that Billy Napier can coach, but we have to know about what he does, because the Sun Belt is one of the conferences, that we cover. If you are Billy Napier, they're asking you flat out, yeah, is Florida a contender or a pretender? And when they say a contender, can you bridge the gap? Dan Mullen said something that when they asked him the year after he lost to Kirby Smart, they said, man, how close is Florida to Georgia? He said 7 points. They beat him the next year. The next year they beat them convincingly. Yeah, but what have you done for me lately? 2021 was ouch. And the thing about that is that Georgia's gonna reload and they're gonna recruit. You know that. Ain't no, and the thing about Florida is it's too many. Hey, man, when you flying this plane, man, y'all landed too much. And y'all ain't landing because you at a destination. You landed because you got another coach. I mean, the coach finna get off, another coach finna get on. Are you the guy? Are you that guy that is consistent? Because the one thing you said about Nick Saban or Jimbo or Kirby, they're consistent. Like, the best organization in the National Football League, Pittsburgh, has only had 3 coaches. That's consistency. That's the same guy. If you are Florida, you'll say, hey, man, are you going to be here? Because I think that sometimes no one's got a bad eye. Listen, Kentucky keeps coaches longer than Florida does. and the thing about that is the reason why you're getting rid of coaches, because, yes, expectations are different in Lexington than they are in Gainesville. But guess what? Lexington is doing better than Gainesville is. So I think for Billy Napier, he's going to have to ask the tough questions, which I think he is. I think that he's going to bring a certain mentality in Florida, which I think he will do. I think that getting guys like Osiris Torrance to come over from Louisiana, but in most cases, the number 1 guard in the country. But until you go out there, Kevin, all you can do no wrong until you run out there. And who you get? The defending Pac-12 champs and Utah Utes. So it could be either a good job or uh-oh. Because, Kevin, there are no more mulligans. There are no more, hey, man, give him a year. We're giving you 7.1 million reasons to get it done. Right, wrong, and different. If you can take the money, you got to take the criticism, get the dub. So I do. While Jimbo, because Jimbo, like, look, bro, if we ain't win a game, we're going to make waves. I still think it's going to be Billy Napier because Heupel is proving superseding expectation right now. You see what Coach Stoops is doing with Kentucky. Whatever you get from Missouri, I think is a plus. I think you got to wait and see what a guy like Spencer Strider, Spencer Strider. And
that was a double miss because Spencer Strider went to Clemson. So now you've offended them twice.
Oh my goodness! I mean, yeah. So now you see what Coach Beamer is doing.
There you go.
Inside
Spencer Rattler.
I'm sorry. I think sometimes too, that's what coaches got to understand. It's all fun and games until you get in front of those cameras, because now this is what the world gonna see. Everybody's going to be seeing what you're going to say. Can you handle the tough questions? Can you be complimentary of the previous staff? Can you win with the previous players? Because the guys you brought in aren't going to be key contributors in 2022. Can you win with the Javon Dexters? Can you win with the Ventrell Millers? Can you win with the Trey Deans? Can you win with – Is Anthony Richardson a super duper incredible athlete that has bits and spurts of genius, or can he play the quarterback position? And when it's time for him to pull off that cape, they're going to ask him that. Because if you can do that, you got a shot to be really, really good. But if not, it's going to be, hey, man, Florida, unfortunately, gets judged like the Georgians do. Right? That's how you're going to be judged. Alabama, Auburn, LSU, and Texas A&M, they're going to judge you like the Alabama. I'm not saying you got to win the Natty. Can you be a contender? It ain't but so many contenders in all over the country.
Sure.
So I do think if you are Billy Napier, you got to ask the hard questions. And I will say this. I mean, I think a close second is Brian Kelly, because once again, it's not. I don't know what type of LSU Coach O left behind. But unfortunately for you, you're the biggest brand in the state. Take nothing away from the Saints. What type of team are you?
And you left Notre Dame to go there. As you said that earlier in the show. I think that shouldn't be understated, because you don't leave Notre Dame to go to LSU.
You get fired from Notre Dame, and then you can. I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
On your own free will. Yeah. You going to give up this? Yeah. To do what? Go to LSU. You go out to the SEC West? Oh, my goodness. So you must know something we don't. You're getting paid a lot of money, which, the money going to always, like you say, Kevin, everything has a price. Tell us why you left Notre Dame if you are Brian Kelly. Tell us why Florida picks you if you are Billy Napier. Because, like you said, if Florida's handing out $7.1 million, we can get a bunch of coaches, a bunch of them. So we'll see. But I think he's ready. I think he's ready for that hot seat. I think that hopefully he's learned from Dan Mullen. You got to use the media as an ally, because the thing about Dan Mullen was when everything was good, he was good, and when it got bad, it got real bad. And you've been a head coach for far too long, and I know how to. Come on, man. You know how to shape narratives when it comes to these coaches. But I mean, when it comes to these media members. But Billy Napier gonna have to answer some questions, because it used to be a time where it was Florida, Georgia, Tennessee. Now it's, dare I say, Georgia, Tennessee, and everybody else trying to figure out who's number 3 and 4. How the mighty have fallen. But hey, man, you got to branding rise. You're good. Nationally relevant. You're good. Contender. You're going to have to prove that, starting the first week of the season, but you're going to have to answer some questions starting next week.
We've got more to come. Braves and Mets, part 2, coming up in just a little bit. We'll break it down for you next here on 3 and Out. Oh, it's great to be here with you on this Tuesday. Braves and Mets coming up in about 13 minutes, if my math is correct. That's never been my strong suit. But in about 13 minutes, we'll have Braves pregame coverage for you. Ben, Spencer Strider against David Peterson. Again, Braves trying to get back in that win column. Max Scherzer was unbelievable last night. Braves just couldn't get a lot going offensively. Even though Austin Riley with a homer, Robinson Cano had a couple hits. He's not in the lineup tonight. But a Braves team that you feel like still playing some good baseball. Maybe you take a step back. You're not seeing one of the best to do it in this era of baseball. You have a little bit better chance of putting up some runs tonight.
I think it should be a much better showing. I mean, when you talk about, Scherzer yesterday, I mean, he proved why he is who he is, why they went out and gave him a bunch of money to bring him over. But you talk about a more favorable matchup tonight. I mean, the Mets are still real dangerous at the plate. I mean, you still got to deal with those hitters, but I do think that when you talk about the Braves team, Kevin, that the one thing you can't say is since starting in June, I mean, they don't do a bunch of back-to-back losses. They seem to be a team that bounced back really, really well and give the Mets a lot of credit. I mean, when you give up a 10.5 game lead to get it down to now 1.5, now 2.5, even because they won last night, you know how dangerous this Braves team is. The last thing you want to give the Braves is what they came into the game with, and that is confidence. I have to eliminate that confidence in them because, Kevin, the Mets could care less what the Braves do with the rest of the teams in the division. We want to control what we do when we play them. So far, so good in game one, but I do think this Braves team understands that, look, man, while it's crazy to see Robinson Cano in a Braves uniform, I'm never to see it. I think that they get back to their winning ways tonight. I think that it felt like playoff atmosphere yesterday in July, which I think shows why teams that matter in divisions that matter with players that matter show what they do for the game of baseball. Last night was electric, man. It was crazy. I expect fireworks again tonight. Some healthy trash talk, healthy banter back and forth with the Mets pitchers and the Braves dugout. But this is the thing: can you do it twice? Because we know, Kevin. I always say this: if the Braves bats get hot, they can match with anybody, and if the Braves bat get hot, it's ugly. So, Mr. Strider, with the glutes, with the hammies, go out there and be who you are, sir. The stash is going to be stashes all over. And think about it, the city of Atlanta, they deserve it, man. Right there off that 285, turnpike, man. I mean, right there on that corner right there. I think it's gonna be rocking. I hope that the weather holds up, because baseball weather is that when the sky is clear. No precipitation coming from the sky, but I do think this Braves team, Kevin, is built for the moment because if you are a Braves, you say, hey, man, how do we match up against, quote, the best team with the best record in our division right now? But I see them getting back to their
look, and again, this is what you want, Ben. High-level baseball, a little back and forth. I know Edwin Diaz came in and closed the game last night, then looked over, I'm assuming, I don't know, but looked at the Braves dugout. I'm assuming at, Acuna and Arcia and those guys and gave him the lock it up. I don't want to hear no talking. That right there should get you fired up. Say, hey, this is what they want. I think you're getting the best out of the Mets right now because, again, it's the same thing. As confident as the Braves have been, the Mets on the other side have been hearing, you guys blew a 10.5 game lead, right? Like the Braves are right here. And if you want to win, that's the team you got to get. And I think Scherzer pitched amazing last night. The Mets came up clutch in some big situations last night. That's what good teams do. And you really feel like this is a series because I think this is kind of setting the tone for post All-Star break here, Ben. If you come out and win 2 out of 3, if the Braves can win the next 2, then in the back of your mind, you're like, hey, we got you. We took 2 out of 3 in that series. If the Mets take 2 out of 3 or they're still in line, potentially sweep this series, then the Braves go play the Nationals. In the back of the Braves' mind's like, they came in our place and they took us. That's who we got to chase down. It kind of sets that mental tone. And then you say, and we got like 13 more games with these guys coming up the second half. That's the difference in winning and losing the division. I want to see that focus tonight from this Braves team of, hey, we took one. Max Scherzer got us. It is what it is. Treat it kind of like a postseason series. We're going to come back with Spencer Strider. We got to get it done tonight and take a dub. I think it's vitally important. You don't get swept in this series. And again, to me, it sets the mental kind of tone post All-Star break of, you're going to see the Mets a lot in 2 months. Do they own us? Or we give some back? And I think that is what you're hoping to see out of this team tonight is, hey, we took one. Max Scherzer got us. Our turn to punch back and send a message to this Mets team.
I think that's what makes baseball what it is, Kevin. While the Braves have been the best team in the division the last 4 years, the Mets are saying, listen, man, we've been getting better as well. Yeah, we haven't won the division, but we understand what the barometer is. It's right there, in Atlanta, in Truist Park. I think if you are the Braves, like you said, it doesn't matter what you do against the Nats, doesn't matter what you do against the Phillies and the Marlins, and what are you going to do against this pesky Mets team that said, all right, yeah, we blew that lead against you guys, but you guys hadn't played us in that stretch. So what are you going to do when you meet us? And like you say, Kevin, I mean, it's not going to be the end-all, be-all when it comes to this series, but this series has a lot to do with 13 more games after this series with the Nats coming up, after this series. So I do think this Braves team is a confidence builder. It's staring that team in the face that's right now number one in your division saying, look, man, we can take a punch and we can throw one back. We'll see what happens.